From WBAY TV, coverage you can count on. Action 2 News at 5:30 starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, the Green Bay Packers will take on the Indianapolis Colts in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. The preseason game kicking off the Packers NFL season follows Brett Favre's enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Sports director Chris Roth is there and joins us live with a preview. Chris.
All right, thanks very much, Emily. We have some breaking news here as things are developing rather rapidly inside Tom Benson Stadium here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You said the Packers begin the preseason tonight against the Colts. That may actually not be the case. There is serious concerns here over the condition of the field at Tom Benson Stadium. This is video our photojournalist Matt Hippa shot just about 15 minutes ago as workers here tried to get this field in condition. Here's the way we understand the problem. Workers, once they finally cleared everything out from last night's induction ceremony, were unable to paint the logos on the field until mid-afternoon today. And in an attempt to get that paint to dry quickly, heaters were turned on to the paint, which in turn melted the plastic surface of this field turf. That green stuff you see in the field turf is actually plastic, so it melted. It's very, very hard right now, so much so that many players and team officials told me you could not get a cleat to go into those portions of the field. So obviously that is not safe. Players are extremely concerned. There have been meetings taking place on the field as recently as 10 minutes ago between the Hall of Fame president David Baker, Colts GM Ryan Grigson, Packers GM Ted Thompson, head coach Mike McCarthy, vice president Russ Ball, all talking about whether or not this game will actually be played here tonight because of these dangerous field conditions, at least as far as both teams are concerned. I have had players talking to them while they were warming up tell me they don't think this game is going to be played. Now, they don't get to make that decision, but the NFLPA, the NFL are all involved in these discussions, and about 7 minutes ago, both teams were told to clear the playing surface and go to their locker rooms. Hall of Fame President David Baker was going to address the Packers first and then go into the Colts locker room and address the Colts. Now, what he is saying to those teams, we obviously don't know. Official word's going to have to come from the NFL on this decision. But as of right now, Emily, as we come back out here live, this game is in serious jeopardy because of what both teams deem to be unsafe playing conditions on this surface. As news becomes available here, and if a decision is made, we'll certainly get it to you as soon as we can. Right now, reporting from Canton, Ohio, Chris Roth, Action 2 Sports.
Thanks, Chris. I know you'll keep track of what's going on out there.
At this hour, at this minute, breaking news on the Hall of Fame game. The Packers and Colts may not take place tonight. A report by Jason Lockenfora says the game will not take place. For the latest, let's head out live to Canton and Chris Roth. Chris?
All right, thanks very much, Dave. And if you look over my left shoulder, down there, that group of people, those are reporters, and they are waiting right outside the tunnels that go to both the Packers, which is the door to the left, or the opening to the left, and then the Colts, which is the one on the right. Those go to the team locker rooms. And in there, over the last 15 or 20 minutes or so, Hall of Fame President David Baker was meeting with the teams. He met with the Packers first, and then the Colts. And I'm assuming that all those reporters have been told that Mr. Baker or someone else is going to come out and address these reports that this game has, in fact, been canceled due to poor field conditions. Now, it was about 25 minutes ago, maybe about 10 minutes, about 5:20 p.m., that the teams were told to clear the field. And this was after several discussions, and long discussions out at midfield between the Hall of Fame, the Players Association, the league, and representatives of both teams talking about the field conditions. Now, here's what we know about the field conditions, or at least what we've been told, not confirmed by any of the staff here that worked on the field, but have been told that what happened here today was because it took so long to clear this field from last night's induction ceremony, the painters on the field, in other words, painting the logo at midfield and the end zones, they could not get started until around 2 o'clock this afternoon. So in an effort to make sure that paint dried, heaters were turned on.
The heaters were turned onto the field to try to make that paint dry in a hurry. It apparently melted the field, and that surface became a very hard plastic surface. Cleats could not go into the surface, so obviously that part of the field would be an unsafe playing condition, and therefore we are in the situation we are now, where we don't know if this Hall of Fame game will take place, but there has been a report by CBS Sports' Jason Lockenfora that the game is off.
Action 2 News at 10 starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We start with breaking news tonight that we first brought you at 5:30 live from Canton, Ohio, where the Packers-Colts Hall of Fame preseason game was canceled due to hardened turf. Sports director Chris Roth has been gathering information all night on exactly what happened. He joins us live from Canton. Chris?
Hi, Emily. This was to be the Packers' 5th appearance here in the Hall of Fame game, and it probably will be their last. This is the 3rd time that they have either not finished or even started a game here. Back in 1969 and then again in 1980 and then in 2003, the game was canceled early because of weather problems. Tonight it was canceled before it even began because of unplayable field conditions. It was clear when players started warming up more than 2 hours before the game that there was a problem, and that problem was the painted logos at midfield and in the end zone. In an effort to dry the paint that was applied just around 1 o'clock today, late due to the cleanup of last night's induction ceremony, the artificial field turf melted with the paint, causing the field to be too hard in those areas for cleats to even penetrate. Both teams were in lockstep agreement that the conditions were too dangerous for players. The League and Players Association were involved along with Hall of Fame officials, and after roughly an hour of discussions, the decision to call the game was made.
In the end, we want to err on the side of personal safety. So, like I said, hard decision financially, hard decision public relations-wise, but a easy decision ethically, I think.
It's again, obviously a lot of conversation. And at the end of the day, you have to make a decision, and the decision was made for player safety. So, I mean, it's not how you got there or why you got there. It was the right decision, and like I said, I give David Baker a lot of credit for doing the right thing.
We didn't pay to sit and watch a replay of the Tim McGraw concert from Friday night.
This was like a bucket list, like highlight of my life thing. Like, I am so disappointed right now. So disappointed.
Most disappointed for our fans. Obviously turned out in great numbers. They've been here all weekend. Saw some of the estimates, you probably did too. 80 to 90% of the people here were Packer fans. So really feel bad for them.
Brett, were you able to step on the middle of the field at all?
I did.
Did it feel like AstroTurf kind of to you at all?
Let me tell you, I've played on worse, put it that way.
Okay.
All right, you are looking at the logo there at midfield where the majority of the problems took place. Now, interesting thing about this turf, and it's brand new for this stadium. Tom Benson, whom the stadium is named after, the New Orleans Saints owner, gave this turf to the Hall of Fame to use for this game, and this would be the first event on this field. It had been used 5 times in the Superdome, and Colts owner Jim Irsay told us after all this transpired that this field was deemed just fine before they started to paint it. Now, how will this cancellation affect the Packers' preps for the upcoming season? Obviously, one less preseason game. We'll hear from Mike McCarthy on that coming up on Sunday Sports Night. Emily?
We still have installation, practice number 8 that we'll hit Tuesday night, and then we'll shift gears into Cleveland. Then once we get past Cleveland, we'll be more into an in-season schedule. So it'll be a minor adjustment, but we'll just go with it.
I wasn't going to play tonight, but it's disappointing because we had some young players who would have got opportunity. Joe Callahan from Wesley College was going to start a quarterback for us.
Yeah.
It would have been a great opportunity for him to get some snaps in front of a national audience, but I think they made the right decision.
The ceremony or the game be moved to a different venue rather than having 2 events of this magnitude on the same surface in less than 24 hours?
Mark, I think that's a question, for a later time. But I think the league and the Hall of Fame, and as owners and myself and others from the Packer organization, when we get together at league meetings, I think we need to look at some of those issues.
All right, Mark Murphy talking about the fact that this stadium hosted a concert on Friday night. The field was completely covered for that with the big stage behind me here. And then, of course, last night's induction ceremony. And that led to the problem today, Dave, as we talked about earlier. It took them so long to clear everything off the surface here. They got a late start on painting. We were told because of that they tried to dry the paint, which in turn melted the surface down there. You can see that behind me where the logo is at midfield. And that led to that hard playing surface that they just could not even get cleats into, deemed too dangerous for the players here to play tonight. So the decision to cancel the game. So a reboot for the Packers will come on Friday night. That will be their preseason opener at the always playable Lambeau Field as they take on the Cleveland Browns. Dave?